Hello and welcome to Trademark Industrial. The following orientation video has been created to assist you to ensure you understand the minimum safety requirements at Trademark. Please use what you learned from this video in your daily work life, and if you have any questions related to any task, please ask your supervisor. Enjoy the video and be safe. Thank you.
Since 1998, Trademark Industrial Incorporated has been a family-owned and operated multi-trade contractor based in Southwest Ontario, specializing in millwrighting, rigging, electrical, piping, sheet metal, and HVAC. At Trademark Industrial, we acknowledge that all employees have the right to work in a safe and healthy environment. Our commitment is demonstrated by continually improving our health and safety processes, educating, training, and motivating supervisors and employees to demonstrate safe work practices, exercising due diligence, and complying with legislated requirements as set out by the Occupational Health and Safety Act and applicable regulations. Not only is safety an integral part of our business at Trademark, it is a core value. Trademark is committed to providing a safe workplace at all times. The Occupational Health and Safety Act is based on the Internal Responsibility System, also referred to as the IRS. In this system, you, your supervisor, and Trademark are jointly responsible for health and safety within the workplace. The Occupational Health and Safety Act also outlines the rights and responsibilities for all workplace parties. Every employee has 3 rights. The right to know. Workers have the right to know about any potential or actual hazards to which they might be exposed to. WMIS plays an important role in giving workers this information about chemicals. The right to participate. Workers have the right to be part of the process of identifying and resolving workplace health and safety concerns. The right to refuse unsafe work. Workers have the right to refuse to do work that they feel is unsafe for them. With every worker's rights also comes responsibilities. Here are several responsibilities that are required by you and your supervisor. Every worker is required to work in compliance with the Occupational Health and Safety Act and company policies. Use all machinery and equipment the way you were trained. Use any required personal protective equipment. Report any hazards to your supervisor. Help maintain and promote safe working conditions. As a worker, the minimum safety training requirements while working at Trademark are Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System, working at heights, and health and safety worker awareness, as well as any specialized training for the specific tasks you may be completing, example, forklift operation. Supervisors must ensure employees adhere to the Occupational Health and Safety Act, make employees aware of any actual or potential dangers to their health and safety, ensure employees work safely and use any required safety equipment, take every precaution reasonable under the circumstances to protect employees. As a supervisor, the minimum safety training requirements are Basics of Supervision, TMI Supervisor Training, Mandatory Health and Safety Supervisor Awareness Training, Standard Level First Aid and CPR, Hazardous Materials Training, Confined Space Safety, Working at Heights, Elevated Work Platform, Forklift, TDG, Lockout and Test, Basics of Hoisting and Rigging, Arc Flash. An important part of the safety process at Trademark is the involvement of our joint health and safety committees. Both management and worker members collaborate together to correct safety issues and continually move our safety culture forward. As required, our members have received training and certification through the Ministry of Labor. Joint Health and Safety Committee members' responsibilities include workplace inspections, bi-monthly meetings, accident investigations, responding to concerns and hazardous condition in the workplace. A hazard is any practice, behavior, condition, or combination of these that can cause injury, illness, or property damage. It is important for you to know how to recognize and correct hazardous situations. Correction of a hazardous situation can prevent a serious accident from occurring. Trademark expects that the supervisor and workers will review all hazards prior to commencing daily tasks, and a Trademark risk assessment document called a Job Assessment Meeting or Job Safety Analysis will be completed and signed off that the workers are aware of the hazards and countermeasures are in place to ensure the health and safety of all. Please ensure you read and understand the document and ask your supervisor if you need any clarifications prior to working. In our shops, safe work procedures have been created to ensure all workers are aware of how to safely operate machinery, what personal protection equipment is required, and any other information required to work safely. Hazards are classified in 4 types. Physical, such as mobile equipment, machinery, noise, and dust. Chemical, such as exposure to solvents, gases, vapors, and fumes. Ergonomic, for instance, improper lifting, poor lighting, repetitive work, and awkward working postures. Biological, like mold, fungus, and viruses. All workers are expected to ensure their work area is safe, and if they notice a hazard, they are to report it immediately to their supervisor. There are several ways to correct a hazardous situation and work safely. The hierarchy of hazard control is as follows. Elimination. Remove the hazard completely. Substitution. Using a material that is less harmful to the worker. Engineering controls, such as machine guarding or guardrails. Administrative controls, such as developing policies, procedures, or providing training. Or the use of personal protective equipment, commonly referred to as PPE. At Trademark, PPE is required to ensure your safety for various tasks you may perform. Your PPE, tools, and equipment should be inspected before each use, and if you notice any damage, you should report it to your supervisor immediately, and the item shall be tagged and removed from service. At Trademark, the minimum PPE requirement on any shop floor, job site, or work area is safety glasses and CSA-approved work boots. Some commonly used types of PPE in your workplace include hard hats, safety boots, and safety glasses. Reflective clothing like vests and coveralls. Hearing protection, such as earplugs or earmuffs in loud environments over 85 decibels. Respirators may be required when working in an environment when your breathing could be affected by dust, vapors, fumes, or chemicals. Fall arrest devices are required whenever working at a height of 3 meters or more. This involves wearing a harness and a shock-absorbing lanyard attached to a suitable anchor point. Other PPE may include gloves, face shields or welding masks, or personal flotation devices if working near or over water. Anytime you're working with rotating equipment or moving machinery parts, jewelry, loose clothing, and loose hair are prohibited. To lift and carry safely, remember: B. Back straight. A. Avoid twisting. C. Close to the body. K. Keep the lift smooth. Always determine the size of the load and determine if assistance is needed. All workers who may come in contact with hazardous materials shall have WHMIS training. Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System is a system that was developed in 1988 to ensure workers were aware of the hazardous materials in the workplace. There are 3 parts to WHMIS: training, which is required yearly; labels, which should be on all hazardous materials, either a supplier label or a workplace label; and material safety data sheets, which advise of the product handling precautions, first aid measures, and contact information. Compressed gases are dangerous because they are stored under pressure and have the potential to explode. Cylinders should be handled with care and must be stored upright and secured. Only trained workers are allowed to perform welding and cutting activities. No one should look at an arc without proper eye protection. Workers must ensure that proper ventilation is used when welding. If hot work is required, then the entire area within 35 feet shall be swept and kept clean before and during such operations, and all combustible materials shall be removed. A fire watch shall be present for 30 minutes after hot work has been completed, and the fire watch will have a fire extinguisher available for immediate use. At many client locations, they may have special requests for performing hot work that must be followed. Fall protection is required anytime a worker is exposed to any of the following hazards: fall hazard of more than 10 feet, falling more than 4 feet if the path is used for a wheelbarrow or similar, falling into operating machinery, falling into water or another liquid, falling into or onto a hazardous substance or object, and falling through an opening of a work surface. Typical fall protection would include a full body harness, lanyard, or self-retracting lifeline, and an adequate tie-off point, which must be inspected prior to use. Trademark has a wide range of fall protection equipment for different applications. If unsure, review with your supervisor to ensure you have the right equipment for the task. Some instances may require fall restriction to ensure a worker is unable to reach an edge, while other times, fall arrest is required. Fall protection training is required for all workers who have the potential to be working at heights. Always face a ladder when climbing up or down, and always ensure 3-point contact is used at all times. Ladders should always be set up on a firm and level surface and should be inspected before use. Step ladders should be opened completely and locking arms in place. Ascension ladders, if used to access levels, shall be tied off at top and bottom and extend 3 feet past the upper landing. Always use the right tool and equipment for the job and only use them for their intended purposes. Modifications to tools or safety devices is not allowed for any reason. Good housekeeping is an extremely important part of your job. Materials, tools, and other equipment should be kept out of walking and working areas. Put them back in their proper storage spaces when they are not in use, and please do not wait until the end of the day to clean your work area. Only trained and competent operators with valid proof of training shall operate any mobile equipment or machinery while working at trademark projects. It is the operator's responsibility to ensure that they have the correct piece of equipment for the job. Prior to operating a man lift, the operator must always complete a pre-trip inspection prior to use, and while on a man lift, be tied off 100% of the time. Pre-trip inspection forms can be found in the weatherproof cases on most units, and must be completed at the beginning of each shift and documented on the appropriate inspection report sheet. Pre-inspecting vehicles and equipment before each shift can help identify problems or issues before they become more serious. Pinch points and other rotating equipment must be guarded. Shields, covers, or other types of guarding must be in place while equipment is in operation to prevent anyone from coming in contact or getting caught with moving parts. When working on a machine and guarding must be removed, proper lockout is mandatory. Prior to starting up the machine, all guarding must be replaced. Always make sure that access to fire extinguishers is kept clear. Make sure fire safety access areas are kept clear and never smoke in fueling areas. Always be aware of mobile equipment working in your area. Be alert and listening for horn and backup alarms. Every worker must stay a safe distance away from the danger zone of mobile equipment and avoid standing or walking in blind spots. Before walking or moving around equipment, ensure eye contact is made between operators and ground workers. As an equipment operator, you must always ensure you're wearing your seatbelt when operating the device. There may be times when you need to work on equipment that may be energized. Lockout and tagout is a safety procedure for securing the controls on machinery and equipment to ensure that they don't become active due to the dangerous release of energy. All sources of energy must be locked out before you begin working on equipment. Energy sources could possibly be electrical, hydraulic, pneumatic, chemical, gravitational, or compressed gases. Some pieces of equipment may contain more than one type of energy source. In this case, more than one area needs to be locked out, blocked, blanked, or secured with chains. Each person working on a piece of equipment must attach and remove their locks and tags. Tags must be marked with the person's name, date, phone number, and reason for lockout. Many times when there are multiple workers and multiple lockout locations, a lockbox will be required. As a worker, you should ensure you understand what is locked out at all times. To ensure safe lockout, follow these steps. Identify all energy sources. Isolate or neutralize all main and stored energy sources. Power down equipment until it stops running. Attach lock and tags to switches. Verify that there is a zero energy state by attempting to turn the equipment on. Proceed with the work, following safe work procedures. After finishing the work, each worker must remove his or her own locks and tags. Lockout and test violations are considered very serious as the potential for severe injury and death can result. Trademark Industrial has a zero-tolerance policy for any lockout and test violations. Confined space means a fully or partially enclosed space that is not both designed and constructed for continuous human occupancy, in which atmospheric hazards may occur because of its construction, location, or contents, or because of work that is done in it. Some typical examples of confined space might include tanks, vessels, bins, silos, and sanitary or sewer access. A hazard assessment must be completed before anyone enters a confined space, and only employees that have completed confined space entry training are permitted to enter. Some steps to ensure safe entry and exit include a confined space hazard management plan and entry permit must be completed and signed off before entering. All entrants must be trained prior to entering a space. A trained attendant must be located at the entry, and a trained confined space rescuer must be available for immediate implementation. Continuous gas monitoring is required while an entrant is in the space to ensure a safe environment. Rescue procedures and equipment must be present in case of an emergency. All accidents, incidents, and near misses must be reported to your supervisor immediately. Trademark requires all foremen to be first aid trained, and first aid kits are readily available in multiple locations at the job sites. If an injury requires medical treatment, Trademark will ensure that the worker will be transported to the nearest hospital and paid full day's wages. The worker is to take a WSIB Form 8 with them to the doctor to have it completed and returned to Trademark. The information you provide will be used to help complete the accident or incident investigation form by your supervisor or the health and safety coordinator. It is also important to report all near misses, because many near misses have the potential to cause a serious accident. Reporting a near miss may help to prevent a future incident that could harm you or a coworker. In the unlikely event that you are injured at work, Trademark is committed to accommodating any physical or cognitive restrictions through our Return to Work program. The Workplace Safety and Insurance Act outlines the responsibilities for the company, your supervisor, your healthcare provider, and yourself. In these instances, both the company and the injured worker share the responsibility for a successful modified work program. With communication and cooperation, we're able to ensure a safe and timely return to work. All employees are required to be aware of the emergency procedures at their work locations. Our emergency plans help workers handle potentially serious events in their workplace by providing contact information for emergency services, identifying and utilizing emergency assembly locations, describing duties and responsibilities for employees. For example, meeting and directing emergency vehicles, assessing the situation, securing the scene, and providing assistance or first aid. Please speak with your supervisor as to the specific emergency procedures at your specific work location. All workers must be aware of Trademark's spill response procedure. Workers are to review the material safety data sheet on the particular product that has been spilled to be aware of any PPE that is required. Berm or place absorbent on the spill to prevent it from spreading. Isolate the area with red danger tape. Clean up spill material using absorbents, ensuring that all contaminated soils are also removed. Place spilled materials in appropriate containers and dispose of as required. Trademark firmly believes that all employees have the right to work in an environment where they don't feel the risk of physical harm or harassment. For this reason, the company has adopted a zero-tolerance policy for all instances of violence or harassment. This video has provided you with a great amount of important information to ensure your health and safety while working for Trademark Industrial. It is not meant to replace Trademark's Health and Safety Manual or the applicable OHSA, which is available at all job sites, but to ensure all workers understand their rights and responsibilities while working at Trademark. Never perform a task or duty if you are unsure of how to do it or have not been properly trained to do so. Ask your supervisor, safety coordinator, or a member of the Joint Health and Safety Committee for clarification. If in doubt, ask your supervisor, as each work location is a little bit different and there may be special requirements. Safety begins with you. Your actions and attitude need to support the belief that workplace injuries can and must be prevented. If we all play our part, we can ensure everyone goes home safe and healthy at the end of each day. In this video, we have explored your rights and responsibilities, Joint Health and Safety Committees, personal protective equipment, safety on the job, lockout procedures, confined spaces, accident reporting, return to work, emergency procedures, and violence and harassment. No job is so important to do it unsafely.